And we are live. Hello, everyone. Let me know that you can hear me and see me. And I have a very, very special guest and a treat for you guys. Are live. I'm going to wait until someone actually tells me that they can see me and hear me until I continue. It should switch to multi-viewer now. Oh, hi, Nida. I haven't seen you in a minute. Welcome, Julia. Okay, awesome. So we are live and they can hear us. Awesome. So, okay, we have a very special treat for you. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So today I have with you guys one of my closest, my best friend, my own personal trauma coach. And we are here for a very kind of deep and serious and fun conversation that we feel like a lot of women are craving, but yet lacking sometimes in their life, especially because of us high achievers. We're motivated, we're ambitious, and there can be this feeling of no one gets me, no one understands me. And it has been one of the greatest pleasures and honors of my life to meet Shahrzad. And I was so blessed that I met her like right when I was starting my business. And she started her business that same year. And so we connected. It was an interesting story, which I will share how we met as well. And let me know that you can see both of us now, right?
Hello, everyone. I'm just saying hello to see if my picture will show up because for me on
Yeah.
this side of YouTube, I see you.
Yeah, but you're not showing up, right? That's what I thought was weird.
There
It
I
should.
am now. So it switches between who is talking. In your view, do you have the gallery view or the multi-speaker view?
Can we do get, oh, does gallery do that? Okay, I switched to gallery. Is that gonna do it?
Let's
There's like
see.
a lag. There's a huge lag
Yeah,
between.
there's a big lag
Okay,
between
yeah. So
the,
hopefully it will do it. Um,
yes, it did. Now we're
yeah.
seeing both of us.
Okay, awesome. I'm so excited about that. So Shazad, welcome. I do want to read your bio. I want to, it's hard for me to introduce you because we talk all day long and we have such deep intimacy that anytime we're together, it just feels very informal. But like obviously some of my people may not know you. It seems like a lot of people do. So I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to, know who you are. So this is my dearest friend Shazad, and she's a double certified life and relationship coach and trauma-informed practitioner who is dedicated to empowering women to transform their lives. She specializes in helping women activate their inner strengths, own their desires, and embody their empowered selves. So if you go in my description, there's a little bit more about Shazad, some things that she's been through. She's going to talk about some of those things. But we met in fall of 2017, right as both of us were starting our business, and our friendship has only grown and deepened since then. So Shahrzad, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. You're absolutely right. When it's like the formal introduction, I'm like, it's me and Mina. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, there is, like she said, literally, sometimes from the minute that we wake up to the minute that we go to bed, there is the voice notes and constant contact. So I'm so honored to be here. I'm so, so glad that we get to have this conversation that I think that it's basically very close to the conversations that we have in our chats. And if we were to bring you like a fly on the wall and you see that these conversations, how they can serve you and help you, then it would be such a gift to all of us.
Absolutely. Shahrzad is my number one most spoken to person on the planet, like especially for the last 5 or 6 months. Like we're just having these really amazing conversations. And I tap into that version of even us or other women I know in my community where we feel like the outliers, right? Like we're so ambitious, we're so high achieving, we want all the things, and yet we feel often misunderstood because not everyone is like that. So it is such a blessing to have someone that is just exactly like you and then different in complementary ways. So yesterday in my persecution masterclass, I was joking with the students that if we were chakras, Shazad is the heart and I'm the solar plexus. So we're very similar in nature and very similar in values. In fact, I think we have all the same values, and yet we bring this like really different flavors. So through my friendship with Shazad, she's helped me open my heart more and like soften up. And then, Shazad, you can share your part, but
I've said it to her that if I like we are like she said we have very similar values, the way that we want to navigate, the way how we want to live our relationships, our business, and all of that. But what you will learn in this master class kind of a conversation is that we have very different trigger archetypes, meaning, and trigger is not a curse word. Trigger is not, oh, you're triggered, it's a bad thing. Trigger, you will find that it is basically your protection mechanism that you developed throughout your life in order to feel safe. And we will see that how that is playing different roles in everybody's lives. But we have developed through our lives different archetypes in terms of our triggers. And so we have different strains because every also archetype has its own gifts and strengths. And of course, it has a shadow side because if you are living your life based on your triggers, meaning a defense mechanism all day long, then you are not going to go very far, or you're going to have your biggest fears constantly repeated over and over and over until you actually start working on it. So because my trigger response were a lot about feelings and emotions and lots of them. So my heart is very sensitive. My heart is very open and sensitive. Then it could, if I'm overwhelmed by my feelings, then it could disconnect me from my power, from my resilience, from going forward with what I want to do because I feel everything a lot. And I feel, there is this, I was just joking with my husband because we were watching Olympics and I cry for everyone who wins and I cry for everyone who loses. Like it's just I feel all of it, all of it. So if you are overwhelmed with a lot of feelings and you don't know how to process those feelings, the what you can do to survive is to basically to just lie down and not do anything or disassociate. We'll talk about that as well. On the other hand, Mina had this incredible resilience within her, this power of go. No matter what's happening, let's go. No matter how hard life gets, let's go. You all know her story of everything that happened. She just persevered and she went on. And that is a freaking amazing gift to have because I mean, we can all agree with that the power, that's all we want. However, if then the heart closes because you're kind of disconnecting from the heart in order to be able to keep going, then you start to have your heart shielded, you're and disconnected from your emotions and your feelings that are not going anywhere. You're just shielding yourself, but they are there, and then they kind of blow up. Then they kind of show up in your life in such a way that you feel like the only way that you can protect yourself is to cut people off, to just stay away from everyone and go into isolation and just deal with everything so you can go again. So that would be the shadow side of it. So her being the power and I being the heart, and the combination of the two has been such a gift in our relationship and in our friendship as both being the students of each other and the teachers of each other, the guides and the clients, has really shaped an incredible power duo for us that we discovered through our conversations together, and we wanted to bring it forward to you.
oh my God, so beautifully said. So much in there. So we believe that every single person needs this type of relationship, friendship, this level of support. Like having Shahrzad in my life has really taught me the meaning of behind every powerful, successful woman, there's another powerful, successful woman. because yes, I have my loving, caring husband, my children, and a lot of my other friends, but and my extended family, they're not like me. They're not this ambitious, right? They have their own gifts. They're not go, go, go. They're not like, let's build an empire. They have a different way of viewing life, which is so beautiful. And it helps balance me out too sometimes. But I need someone that will understand me, right? And my drive and my ambition and why I can't, people say, oh, why can't you just be content? With what? Mediocres? Being mediocre? No, I can't. Like, that's not who I am as a person. I will never, like, I can be content with where I am now, but always be growing. And Shazad understands this. So when I come to her and I'm like, okay, let's do this and let's create this, she's not like, well, why don't you just rest? And why don't you just be happy with what you've already created? She gets it. Every successful woman needs this because otherwise you will be second guessing yourself all the time. You're going to be thinking something's wrong with you. You're going to think you are broken. Why can't you just be happy with whatever you have? Because we're here to grow and we're here to evolve, and that's how we see our life. And so you need that support.
I
Another thing that, during this our friendship, what we realize is that not everyone has this friendship, and a lot of women have the sisterhood wound. There's a lot of trauma with female relationships, and unfortunately, it's evolutionary deep. So it goes back millions of years in our not only in our animalistic nature, but hundreds of thousands of years when we were living in since we've been living in small tribes, there's been a lot of female competition. And one thing people don't realize is that collaboration is a feminine quality, but men have evolutionary history of it. Women do not. Competition is a masculine quality, but women have evolution history of it. So just because something's masculine or feminine doesn't mean automatically women have that. This is something we have to learn. And Shahrzad and I are always talking about how um, we don't have a lot of history of owning our own businesses, right? It's only been July of 2024 was Mark's 50-year anniversary of women being able to sign their own signature without a man co-signing. So without your husband or father co-signing your credit card receipt, co-signing a loan, it's only been 50 years, 2 generations, that's it. So we don't have a lot of history of work, first of all, working, two, creating our own businesses, three, collaborating with other women and not having them, hate us and feel jealous and all of this stuff. So I know, Shazad, you also have a lot to say about this
For
topic.
sure, for sure. And that's something that is really true. And forget about the evolutionary, like all the way back. I remember as a little girl in the school system that I'm from originally I'm from Iran, and I remember that in school there was the best students, the best three students of the year every year, and number one, number two, number three. And they would be called in front of the class and they would get a lot of praises. And it was also an element of shame for other girls that weren't getting there. So they instilled in us this need to be the best and be in competition with each other. Because if you are number one, that means I'm not. And if I'm not, and I'm getting less attention because of it, less love because of it, and that's something that a lot of Middle Eastern or in the East side, like the needing to be the best student, the most achievements, the more you get that feels like love that you receive it, right? Like you get a huge sense of accomplishment and you feel more worthy of love. So then that it's instilled in us that I need to be better than you, uh, as in my friendships, in some way or the other, in order to feel more worthy, in order to feel more lovable. So that's why we see in a lot of even friendships that there is this feeling of I want to make sure that you know that you need me because of this and I'm better than you in this situation, or vice versa. So we have this competition going on that goes against our very nature, because like you said, our nature is to be collaborative. So for anyone who might think that Mina and Shahrzad have a very similar work that they kind of do. So what is the point here is that we just kind of mentioned it as well, that there is gifts in each of us, that it's complementary. And I don't believe in the lack, and I don't believe in that there is less, like if I need to beat Mina or Mina needs to beat me in order for me to shine brighter. That whole thing, I think, is something that we need to take a look at and recognize within ourselves, because when we see another woman as a threat, I remember this analogy of when you put crabs in a bucket, and when they want to crawl down, all the other ones try to bring it down instead, because they don't want that one to escape the bucket, as opposed to knowing that you all can escape it, you can all climb it, but they spend their time bringing that one down, and then you spend a lot of energy there. Do you have a lot of time to thrive and go rule your own life? No. So that's what I see in the part of the sisterhood, that I'm really committed, because I see the friendship that I have with you. I have, a very, very dear friend in Toronto, where I am as well, that I find that when you don't have this toxic dynamic, when we see each other's beauty, like, this is the kind of friendship I want for the world, and I want people to experience it. Of course, if that is what you want, and we're not here to say this is the way to do things only, but it's really important to bring light into it, because I think the world will be a lot more beautiful if we meet each other with love, with appreciation for our differences, and kind of like constantly seeing that how that gift actually can help me too, as opposed to how that will take away the spotlight away from me.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. I see this right now. And I know, Shazad, you and I talk about this all the time in the online space. Like so many female entrepreneurs, just attacking each other, bringing, like everywhere you turn, there's people trying to, instead of saying, oh, I can have this too, there's an element of like, no, 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 I'm going to pull her back so that I can feel better about myself.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but it is true. We see it more and more. And we live in a world, we were talking about it today, is that back in the day, when someone was in the public eye, even a huge celebrity or superstar, the most criticism that they heard was like if they read the news and they saw something on TV. We now live in a world that everyone with an opinion can make their opinion known. And if you are looking at your comment section, or you're looking at your emails, and you're getting these opinions that can really feel hurtful. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. When I hear something someone says, even though that person, I don't know who they are, I have no idea, they have no idea about, when they say something hurtful, like I said, I'm somebody that feels a lot. It feels awful inside my body. It feels like it's like, well, why would you say that about me? Like, you don't even know me. So a lot of emotions shows up, and that's why it causes a lot of trauma for people, because that it is, to be attacked and to be using your vulnerability against you. Sure, we have resilience, sure, we have a lot of resources, but it is when it is all over in your face, and you can't get, and the same thing goes, by the way, in online bullying for kids. Back in the day, the kids would go to school and there would be one bully, and then they would have to deal with that maybe during those times, which is obviously not okay. But now they come home and they're bombarded with text messages and messaging, and then people like taking a picture of them and posting them, and then there's like 1,000 other kids commenting and making fun. All of this is stuff, we are not built for it. We're not meant to be experiencing so much hate from so many different angles all at once. And if we don't have the resources, if we don't have anyone to hold us through that, then say hello to a lot of suppressed resentment, hurt, a lot of sadness, a lot of grief, a lot of unprocessed anger that will show up either as illness in your body, as blowing up on your partner, in your family, feeling like nobody gets you and you shouldn't pay attention to those of them who they don't know what they're talking about. Why are you even upset? And all of these things can play a huge role in our psyche, in our nervous system, in our ability to function even on a day-to-day basis. So we took a little detour because I know not everyone who's watching here has, an audience. Not everyone who's is here is a coach, but we do live in a world that we are exposed to a lot of these things, and that is one source of trauma that can happen, but there's obviously other sources as well.
Hi, Shazad. I do think your work is so important because some of the stories that you shared me just really deeply impacted my heart. Like, Shazad and I were having this conversation about sometimes clients can come in and they think, oh, their child is misbehaving, not realizing that their child is having a trauma response. Or they think, oh, my husband doesn't love me, he doesn't do this, and this. And they're trying all the feminine energy tools and nothing's working. And they think maybe I'm not doing it correctly, but their husband is in a trauma response regarding this one thing. So, what this has really brought to my attention just from learning from Shazad is that every single person, not just a coach, not just if you're a mentor or a coach online or a therapist, I think every person, especially if you're a woman, you have children, you have a partner, you have people that you care about, I think you need tools and knowledge of what are different people's trigger responses and how they act and show up when those responses are triggered. So interestingly enough, I was looking for, this information online, and everything that I found online was a certification for coaches or therapists, which makes sense, right? And the shortest program was 6 months, and these are like really expensive long-term programs and very intensive because they're training people. They should be. And then there were other ones that were a year, 18 months, 3 years. But I'm thinking, okay, and I did end up signing up for like the certification program of it, but I started thinking about my students and my clients, my followers. I'm thinking, okay, most of these women don't want to go take a certification for their business, but they need to know this information for their children and for themselves and for their partner. And so I was, like, why doesn't this exist? Why doesn't everyone know? And so I said to Shazad, I'm like, this is a course that's needed. Like, you should teach it. And right then and there, she was like, oh my God, yes, this is it. And so I feel like this course that she's created, which we will talk about at the end, she created it for me. It's like her course that was designed for me because I'm like, I need this information for my kids. I need this information for me. I need this information for my husband, for my friends, for my extended family. I want to be able to know if my child is, God forbid, having a trauma response or a trigger response. And I think trauma, there's a big T and a little t, but there are sometimes just little t's. I want to know that. I want to know so I can hold space for them. And so Shazad created this whole beautiful thing. And we decided that we're going to use this to change the freaking world.
I mean, and that's when I say that she's the power and that she's the resilience, and she sees that there is just this elements of gifts, because these were the things that I was showing her and helping her and talking to her about it, as I have been with my private clients and with my very close community. But in terms of like, there's a need for it here. Mina Irfan, I'm looking for it and it's not there. I'm looking for it and it's not there. So her saying that, create this and I want to go through it and I want my family to go through it, it meant the world to me, absolute world to me. And I just realized that it is true. Like, not every coach, obviously, if you're a coach, this is going to be information that is going to really change your range. And when I say range, when we go through the archetypes little by little, you will understand. But for example, if you are your trigger archetype is more on the people pleasing side, the more like a peacemaker, the more of just wanting everything to be harmonized. Can you imagine when you are dealing with a client that is very convicted in their story? They're very much, anchored into their anger and their feelings of injustice. And if you are a people pleaser archetype, what are you gonna do? Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is so bad. Like now, like I have to agree with you in order to not make you mad at me because I'm so afraid of you being mad at me. So instead of actually helping you transform and share with you a different perspective, now I'm trying to please you. What kind of a coaching is that? What kind of a help am I going to be giving that people, or vice versa? If there is more fire in you as a coach, and this is what I experience, if you're more in that intense tough love energy, and by tough love I mean a little bit pushing the edge too far, and someone with a sensitive heart comes to you, and then you start to really be like, you have to be stronger and you have to do this, now you're causing harm to a client that now is going to go into something is really wrong with me. The fact that she's talking to me this way, it makes me feel so disempowered, and someone that I admire and I feel like they are in a place of power and authority have now like broken me into pieces, and now I feel even worse and I go into more overwhelmed with my emotions because that's the archetype that I have. So both hand in hand is so important for coaches, and it absolutely is important with our people around us. I mean, in my own family, we have a huge different archetypes between me and my husband. And with the clients that I work with, something that, let me know in the chat if you resonate with this. I want to hear from you. Is that a lot of parents, they complain about the fact that their kids don't listen. They're like, I'm listening, I'm talking to them, and they're like floating somewhere else. They're in their video game, and then they have like they're in a certain body position that like, look, listen to me when I'm talking to you. Like and this person, what they're not realizing is that their child is actually disassociating. What that means is that their feelings are so overwhelming for them that in order for them to be able to cope with this particular thing that has happened to them, the only way that they know how to deal with it is to just not be there. And the parent can, if they don't have that archetype, it's like, you're disrespecting me, you never listen to me. And now they are putting more shame on top of the disassociation. And what does the kid do? They disassociate even more because now you're overwhelming them with shame. So there's so many different layers of not understanding different archetypes and making the other archetype as wrong as bad and creating more division, not transformation, not help. And I think that, when I offer this information, not just information, but like really going through them with my clients, they're like, I swear I'm not making this up. After one day, they come and say that I can't believe what happened. Like my son, my 15-year-old son is showing up as a little man now. Like when I'm speaking to him, like he stands up straight and he speaks to me and looks me in the eyes. And I'm like, there you go. And you didn't get that by yelling at him and saying that, why aren't you listening to me? Did you? So I just wanted to bring that forward because I think that this is the kind of stuff that goes beyond the feminine and masculine energy and all that beautiful stuff that we learned long time ago. And I think that it really expanded my toolbox because once upon a time, I also believe that, there is just being in your feminine energy and being in your, like, let him initiate would be enough to transform any relationship, not respecting the fact that there are also a lot of men that have a lot of shame, a lot of stuff that has happened to them. So when it comes to overcoming their own shame to be able to initiate certain things, and that if their trauma hasn't been addressed, if the relationship is not a safe space for him, that he's not going to do it. So that's a bigger conversation, but I wanted to bring that flavor because in romantic relationships, the trigger responses play a huge role between the two of you coming together or getting more and more separated.
Oh my God, this is huge. And this is why I talked to Irfan and even my oldest son. And I can't wait until my younger two are older because I'm going to be taking this course as Shahrzad's student, and my husband's going to be taking it, and Arman's going to be taking it because this information is so important. Like I was saying to Arman, imagine being able to tell if one of your friends was in a trauma triggered response. And he was like, yes, like this is key information. And I think that every person, male or female, needs to know this not only for themselves, to do their own healing work first, so they can be a safe space within themselves, and then they can provide a safe space for their family. Because yeah, I don't want to be, saying something to my children when they're feeling overwhelmed in their nervous system, or I don't want that relationship where they have to disassociate or anything like that. And luckily, with the three of my kids, Armand's done, Shahrzad, like massive inner work on himself. And my younger two kids, luckily have not gone through anything like that. But when I speak, they just listen, they just look up, they behave, in a certain way, but they're very curious why other kids don't. Even my younger two are always asking when we go to parties or places, they're like, oh, when so and so's mom was yelling at them, did you see how he got really quiet and he was just standing in the corner and he wouldn't respond? So the fact that they even notice those things, I think that we're so hungry as a collective for this information, and our hearts are opening and we're compassionate and we want to understand what is happening and why people behave the way they do and say or don't say certain things. So Shazad, if you would please take us through the types, because I'm just fascinated with this stuff. I can't wait until this weekend for the
Oh,
intensive to start.
me
So
too.
yes, give
So
it to
freaking
us.
excited. Absolutely. And before doing that, I want you to watch out a little bit. So, one thing that you have to remember, not one archetype is more noble than the other, or worse, or whatever. Every single one of these archetypes that we have built has been a defense system to protect the person that is inside. So, if you're finding yourself, if you're the type that you're like, oh, that's my husband and that's my aunt and that's my mother-in-law, like you are doing that, it's okay to have those realizations and bring that forward, but you're not going to use this against them. This information is meant for you to understand them. So then you can actually, if you want to be an instrument of actual transformation for them, because you absolutely can be. I'm not saying you're going to go and fix everybody. You're not fixing anybody. Working with your trauma, working with your triggers is not that you're broken and now you're fixed. If you don't have a trigger in your life, then that means you're not human anymore. Like you are going to have your insides wanting to protect you at all times. And like I said to you, like, I, within the work that I'm doing now, like when I see a mean comment, my heart hurts. I have that trigger. But what would happen if I just go with that? Then I'm just going to go lie down and cry myself to sleep for days to come, as opposed to be able to process it and move forward. So the goal here is not for you to judge yourself and judge other people, think one trigger is better than the other. Your job is not to now label yourself as broken or someone else as broken. Your job is to actually reflect. Because some of you are going to be like, none of this actually applies to me. None of this. I'm like, you know, up on the skies and I'm never triggered. And I would say that I love you and calm down and bring more self-awareness, because you definitely have that. And then some of you are going to be like, oh my God, I have all of these. What's wrong with me? Like, I have all of these. And you're the type that is beautiful and you take a lot of self-responsibility, but that's an invitation for you to also know that you have to actually hold other people more accountable than you already do. We see a lot of women that do inner work, they feel like this is everything that is happening, it's my fault. Like the world is a reflection of who I am, so I have to go fix myself in order to make the other person treat me differently. And then there are other people that it's always them and it's never me, and what's wrong with them? We teeter between the two. So watch yourself, and the more be in the curiosity of it. Be more in that energy of being willing to say, I wonder where I do this. I wonder if I can catch myself when I do this. So do we have that disclaimer? Do we have an agreement to go about it this way?
Yes. After you go through it, I also want you to add, because it's funny that you said I have all of them, because that was my initial reaction, and then you were like, no, you don't have all of them. And so if you can also say if do we have primary and secondary? So I'll just plant
Absolutely.
that there for now. So I'm very curious if maybe we have multiples or if there's just a main
For
one.
sure, for sure. It is definitely, I don't think anyone only has one. I don't think any person has only one archetype. There is definitely one primary one and a secondary one. And you will also see that in different areas of your life, you may be showing up with one trigger response as opposed to someone else. Like if you are in the position with, let's say, with your own mom, for example, with your family, with your close one, you might find yourself to be able to actually be more critical and to be more aggressive in that sense. And then if you're put in a social situation, you're agreeing with everybody. You are agreeable and you are like a wallflower and you don't want to piss anyone off. So it's very normal to have more than one. You do have one, but notice that, and that's a really great question, in what areas of my life this applies and in what areas of my life this applies, and have that be something that you start to contemplate on. Okay.
So interesting because the example that you use, we have a saying in my culture, and I don't know if you have that too, Shazad, but we say that I'm translating it in English, it's gonna lose some of its juice, but it says that it translates loosely to he's a lion only in his house. He's a
Mm,
home lion. So that
mm,
means that the roar is there, but only in the safety of his family. And when he goes out, he changes
yeah.
personalities. So that's exactly what you described. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So we have these archetypes showing up. The way that you might have a trigger with a person of authority, but maybe very different than when you feel like an authority. So when you are acting with the authority, that person that is more authoritative may be very different than the way that you might be handling your kids. So and sometimes we overcompensate because when we don't have the emotions kind of processed and we are not coming from a more mature and emotionally intelligent, we kind of like, oh, if a person of authority has power over me and I feel all this like littleness, a smallness, now I get to be a person that my word is law and I am not open to hear anything other than because I said so. And that is very, you see that the toxic dynamic of that, how that could play out.
Oh, girl, in our culture, that's like every man, right? It's
Exactly.
we grew up with uncles and everyone's like, oh, because I said so.
Exactly. Because I said so, it's a very common thing that parents say that also shuts down a child's curiosity. Like if one of our biggest gifts as children is having the wondering, like what is the first question that kid asks after everything that you answer? Why?
Why?
Why? Because why? Why is the sky blue? Why? But like it's they want to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then when it's met with the frustration of a parent or anyone, then you kill the curiosity, which is a huge part of our evolution and for us to grow. And something that I forgot if I mentioned it before we started with you, or was it during the our conversation, is that I want you to remember that trauma is not like just something big that happened to you. But when you were in an open state, and you were receptive and your system was shocked with someone coming sharply at you. And that's why kids, obviously, when they have a lot of openness, their consciousness is completely open and they're having, so much excitement, and they're coming to their mom and saying something, and she's overwhelmed by what something happened that at work, and she's like, stop it, just to stop it. And then the kid goes into to that shock inside of their body, and that is an example of having a little T trauma because you were in an open state. You were not expecting something that came at you like a jolt. And when something comes to you at a jolt, especially if it is prolonged, if you have had a parent that was always really busy for you, always had a lot going on, and not here, we're not here to shame our parents or their business and all of that. We're just talking about this is something that happens, and now what do we do with it? Now that we have this information, how can we make the difference? So in understanding that all what the trauma is, that you were in an open state and then something happened that shocked your emotional nervous system and caused you to close off, whether it was your body, your you went into a defense and you went and started crying, or you're like, I'm never going to say anything to her anymore. That is because all she does is yell at me. All of this is going to really benefit you to understand that that's why we create different defense mechanism, and understanding it and trying to do better, doing your best, not perfect, is going to make it a whole lot of different. I know I'm talking so much, but we're going to go into the triggers, I promise.
No, because this is so interesting. And I think all of it needs to be, I could just listen to you talk about the stuff like literally all day long. And I do, I love it. And I think I wish other people had access to this as well, because this is so important. Like, think about how you show up with change if you had this information, the way you would deal with different people. I love how you mentioned that not only do we change personalities in front of different people because of the different triggers and how we respond, but also I'm curious if other people feel like they have, I don't want people to feel like they have to do that with me either. I want people to feel comfortable in my presence and that they can be themselves. So this is so key, especially for women like us that are like, we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to just keep evolving. I feel this was the missing key to really understanding deeply how our inner work is impacting us and our family members around us. And of course, the first key, like Shahrzad said, is let's use this for ourselves. And once we are stay curious and we use it for ourselves, then naturally it will start overflowing and we'll start understanding our family members, our partners, and people around us so much better. So Shazad, give it to us. I'm so excited
Yes.
about the types.
Awesome. So we're going to first start with a little bit of self-assessment. So I'm going to be asking you some questions, and if the chat is open, you can start putting like, okay, I resonate with archetype number one. And then we're going to go into the little archetypes a little bit. This training honestly is going to be about 6 hours, like when we
If
are
you
doing
went
the
through,
intensive. So
yeah.
we're not going to go into everything in details, but I want to make sure that you are finding yourself, you're at least having the self-awarenesses around this, and start using it to your advantage. So let me just take a sip of water and we get started with that.
Guys, at the end, if you do want like the hours long version of it, I'm gonna give you guys the link. Shahrzad created a whole training for me and my family, and I decided we're gonna invite everyone and let this be available to the world. So I'll throw the link and her generous offer afterwards. But just with even what she's giving you today, this is very generous. So listen up because this information is literally not even available unless you're a coach or a therapist. So she's bringing it to the mainstream for us to have. So I'm
Thank you
ready.
for saying that. And that's the other thing. So like Mina said, I did go through the rigorous training for a very, very long time, and the program certification that was I was in. So, and then I have now kind of 2 years under my belt of after that working with myself and my clients and all of that. So I'm really happy that Mina just pretty much like with all her enthusiasm, like I wish I could play the voice memos. Like I think she went on for like 7 8 like messages after messages of long voicemails, like why I need to be doing this and teaching it, because she was so excited. So with that, my loves, let's get started. So what I want you to do, that if you resonate with this archetype, you can say one in the chat, or you could say, I know someone with this archetype, and just let's go with that. So first, I want you to do some self-assessment. Do you often withdraw or isolate yourself when you're faced with conflict or stress, when feeling overwhelmed? You find it easier to disconnect from other people, from your friends and family member, and you struggle to express your emotions, and there is a lot of emotions that you're expressing, but because you feel like no one's going to understand you, or you don't want to have to explain yourself, you just keep yourself away from them. So I know there's a delay between the Zoom and
Yes.
this, but that is the archetype number one that we are going to be talking about after. So number two, do you often find yourself challenging authority or rules, especially if you feel like somebody's telling you what to do, what you should be doing, you feel confined, you feel restricted, and you want to do the exact opposite of it, even if it's for your greater good, you still, from that place, you want to be defiant and you be kind of like, excuse my thing, but that's the energy that you want to give to the world. Is like, I don't need you, I don't need your opinion, I don't need you in my life. You get in a fight with your friend and you want nothing to do with them. You get in a fight with a date, like there is a disagreement, and then you don't want anything to do. You never want to see them again. Is that your archetype? That's number two. Or someone with that archetype. So we have someone's. Let's see if number two shows up. And feel free to interject if you resonate with any of
Yeah,
them.
my book has an entire chapter, I'm pretty sure, on the energetic finger, so that I think that says it all.
I love that. That is it. That's so good. Okay. So number three, do you frequently prioritize other needs over your own, even if it is to your detriment? So you're faced with a potential conflict. All you want to do is to make it go away. Be the peacemaker to make sure that everyone is good. Conflicts, hard conversations make you super uncomfortable. So you go into complete agreement because you're also really afraid of being rejected or feel disappointed based on their reaction. So you just are very agreeable, you say yes to things that you want to really say no to. You kind of like don't even take the time to contemplate. You just say yes, like you're an automatic yes because you feel like that's the easiest way. So that is number three. If that is you and you find yourself or someone else in your life. So let me see.
So
One and
babe,
a little bit
as
of
you're even
two.
saying this, what's coming up for me is that I can see which one up so far as my main one, but I'm still getting the thing that I see myself in all of them so far. Like there are certain people that I will do the agreeable thing with and not think it through. Not with everyone, but there are certain people. And
Are those
then,
the people that you really want their approval? Those are the people that you don't want to piss off and make sure that they love you?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then who do you not feel that way with? Who in your
People
life?
who I know already love me. Like it's guaranteed.
Yeah. So you could be your not, because that the third one is very much a perfect person, right? Like you're around me and you always feel safe because I will always be, I will never rock the boat with you. So love me, love me, love me. But with the other persons, like you've seen it, me at my worst. I don't need to play these games with you, so I could not be that way with you.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay.
Hmm. So now let's talk about number four. This is something that if there were men here, I think a lot of them would, if they were willing to, they would agree with this one. And not that it's only for men. I actually have a couple of clients that they have this archetype, they have recognized it, and they are very much, because they are in this path, they recognize and they're working with it. So number four is that you react to stress or criticism with anger and defensiveness. When you feel anything that feels like a threat to you, you are going right into attack and blaming other people. And this may be within yourself. Some of you are attacking other people inside of you, but you may be more, I guess, evolved to not voice it. But some of you are just going at it and you lose it. You start to get hostile or sarcastic or get really loud or start throwing things around, like all of these things that are feel like an attack to the other person, whether internally you're attacking that person or externally. That would be number four. Or if you know somebody with this archetype. Okay, someone says four, yes. Little like one is definitely primary, three comes to reaction when I care, but if I don't care, I'm two. Interesting. I love that.
And
And it's
babe, do you want, so these are just my channel members that are able to respond because I have it on that setting.
sure.
Do you want me to open it up?
I would love that if that feels good to you to see that who do we see with different
Yeah, I just
archetypes.
realized my other subscribers are not really getting a chance to participate. So
That would
I'll
be
open it to my channel members. I'm sorry,
uh,
my channel subscribers.
sounds perfect. I think that'd be really good to see
Because
even
they're not
more.
getting to participate.
Good, 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 good. So with this particular archetypes, we the number four, we have, oh, we see more chats now coming in. That's awesome. This one has a lot of heat inside, right? Like you see that you feel the temperature rising, and we will go more and more into the flavors of how they feel inside of them in the intensive that we will doing, because it's really important to be in touch with your somatic body, really speaking to you, and the more you are, then you become even more self-aware. Okay, so now let's go to number five. Do you experience intense emotional reactions to relatively small things?
If that's your type.
When you're triggered, do you find it hard to calm down and regain control and emotions? Feel overwhelmed by being able to actually express, and the more you try to talk, the more you cry, and the more you cry, the worse you feel, that you feel like you're so incompetent and you're so weak, and you feel worse and worse about yourself. Is that who you are? So that's definitely an archetype that Shahrzad just told you. Four is my hubby. I'm number one. Four is my younger self and parents. Three is my mother-in-law. One, yes, I used to be. Two, a lot. Not so much anymore. Three is a rocky for me. And four, okay. So good, so good, so good. Four and five are my younger selves. Yes. And this is something that I want to also bring up, because thank you for mentioning that. There is a lot of times that we evolve from one archetype and we go to the extreme of the other one. So if you
Interesting.
so if you have been a people pleaser, and you had your boundaries have been crossed over and over and over and over,
That was
then
me.
you're very likely to go to the number two, the one that does this, because you're like, the more I let people in my heart, the more I felt crushed by them. So the only way that I can protect myself is to go into the different archetypes, which is very normal. But again, it's great because all of these archetypes, I can't emphasize, they have their gifts. If you are somebody that, let's say, um has a people pleasing tendency, you're way more likely to receive feedback without defensiveness, as opposed to someone who just, because let's talk about the person that is this aggressive with the criticism. If that person feels any feedback, any sort of feedback means you're bad, you're wrong, you are a, whatever, however that they could receive it, right? So the person with the people has that tendency to be like, let me, if they are healed, they're like, let me actually see if this feedback is actually helpful or no, this is not good. If your people pleaser, any feedback is welcome. Oh, you want me to wear red? I'm gonna go wear red. Oh, you don't like my hair like that? Okay, I'm gonna chop it up. Oh, you hate it? I'm gonna wear a wig. Like, it's just like any opinion is going to sway you.
So babe,
And
that was literally me. I was people pleaser and then I went to number two.
yes. Yes. And that's it. That's it. So we have the capacity for all of it, but what we want to do is to nurture the gifts of it, work on the parts that we need to work on, and also have compassion and understanding for the ones that we don't have, but they can actually gift us with their conviction. Because a person with a lot of that aggressiveness that comes to you, they actually are able to be, if they are healed, to be in a very great place of authority, if they are actually not coming off as no one else's opinion matters and it's only mine, but they have a certain level of conviction that they bring into the table that can be really empowering if it is done correctly.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, these are so good. I'm loving that you guys are participating in there. Okay, two definitely, one yes, and two, but yeah, this is so interesting to follow your journey too, to know, okay, this was me before, and this is, oh my God, I love it. Okay. I think we're at six.
We are at six. So number six is, do you have a persistent, critical inner conversation that diminishes your self-worth? So you're super hard on yourself. When you make a mistake, it's the end of the world. You self-punish. You were a failure. You are bad. Why did you do this? You knew better, and yet you made the same mistake. So you find it difficult to accept any compliments. Do you find it, you kind of deflect any compliments that comes to you, and just you just are so hard on yourself. All you see is your flaws, and you keep having to work on yourself. And no matter how much you work on yourself, it's never enough. And it comes from a place of, it's I'm never enough. Not from a place of I love growth and evolution, but I'm just never going, something is really wrong with me. That one.
You
So
know what's really interesting, Shazad, is when you just said something is really wrong with me, I noticed that the which one was it for? The type that goes outward, that everything someone else, they tend to use phrases like, what's wrong with you?
oh yeah.
Have you noticed that?
I,
Yeah,
oh
they'll say
definitely.
that.
Oh, definitely. And when we go into the intensive, you will also see that how 99% of the times, whatever archetype you are, you normally attract your exact opposite archetype.
Of course.
You do the exact opposite. So the ones that are deeply emotional, the ones that are people pleaser, they are very much tended to attract the person that is highly critical because they're not taking any accountability. They're going to be very critical of you. Perfect match. Psht, goes right into each other, and the self-fulfilling prophecy that goes on and on.
And then you're like, like it's
It's
gonna
like,
trigger
how
me.
am I going to
Yeah.
do this? Well, because you kind of in your shadow, you complement each other, but also in your gifts, you will complement each other. And that's the beauty of it. That's why it doesn't mean that, oh, you have attracted a person like this, you have to abandon them, go get a divorce. Or no, there is definitely ways that you can be within yourself and within your family, harvest the power of all of this. Oh my God, six, literally I would get physical sick. Finally, boss told me to that mistakes happen. Oh, that must be hard, babe. That is tough to have that much of harshness towards ourselves, and that causes a lot of autoimmune disease when you self-attack like that, right? Okay, number seven, we're almost done with the self-assessment. So number seven is, do you often feel disconnected from your surroundings or reality during stressful times? So you're like, "Ooh, I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm going to La La Land." When you're overwhelmed, kind of zone out, you daydream, you grab your phone 5,500 times a day to go scroll. You binge watch Grey's Anatomy 20 seasons all at once. That's what happened to me literally in 2020 when I was so overwhelmed with what had happened to me, that someone who didn't even have Netflix at the time, like I just did not, I was not interested in TV. I couldn't handle my emotions. They were too much that the only way that I could cope with it was to drift, to just be in a different role, to just like be in Grey's Anatomy and be able to just to focus on something else completely out of sight of myself. Also, I believe that a lot of emotional eating comes from that place as well, because you're just keep reaching out of yourself to find something pleasurable, to find something that will soothe all the emotions that you don't want to feel.
Makes sense. So there's certain, I'm assuming there's certain coping mechanisms that go with each of these types.
Exactly, for sure.
Okay.
We have all sorts of ways to be able to cope. 99% of them is not for our greater good, because now we are making a decision from a triggered place. Again, your trigger is not wrong. It's that if you don't manage it, that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's that if Mina doesn't manage when something traumatic happens in her, that she would cut off either people, or she would like stop doing something that she loved doing because now it feels like, F you everybody, right? That's the decision making part, that if we go on from that trigger space, that is just going to be very detrimental.
My gosh.
How's the chat? Let's see. Oh, I'm seeing, oh my gosh. I do have that too. Check out to Dreamland, very difficult to come back to Earth. And I want to say that, Emily, that this is when a coach may be yelling at you, just make a decision that you're not going to do this anymore. You're just not going to watch TV anymore. You're just going to go for the dream and blah, 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 blah. And that person is probably has a lot of conviction, which is fantastic. But what she's not realizing is that there is so much emotions inside of you that if you don't disassociate, you literally feel like you're gonna die. You feel like you're gonna be swallowed up. This is why the world of the coaching, again, I mentioned that in my previous life, it's so important that we have the range when we're dealing with humans. Otherwise, we only expect for people to cope with their problems the way that we would. The person with that conviction can set it aside. They can easily set it aside and keep going because that's the defense that they have developed. But the person who's has the exact opposite can't go on like this. We're having this conversation with my group the other day, is that imagine two kids, imagine Mina and Shahrzad, they're in school and they go and they do a presentation and they're met with harsh criticism. So let's just say that Shahrzad has the FU and then Mina has the people pleaser. This is very hypothetical. It's not the case. So what would happen to Mina when she receives criticism? What she develops, she hasn't developed that yet. She's like, okay, in order for me to be safe in this world, I have to do what that person says. So whatever criticism, whatever feedback, I'm going to change and shift inside of me to become a person that other people don't get mad at me, because when they got mad at me, it hurt me so much. Shahrzad in this case is going to be, you know what? Who are you to talk to me like that? I don't even like your face. I don't even like the way that, you're fat and you don't even have any kids. And your husband is probably like, this is the narrative that goes on in my life, because now I feel better. Because if you don't matter, if your opinion of you doesn't matter to me, then that's not going to hurt me. I did get hurt. But that is the defense mechanism that I showed up with in order to protect myself. Mina tried to protect herself to start being very compliant. Shahrzad started to protect herself by saying, you don't matter. I don't care about you. You're nobody to me. That way, you see the difference? That same trauma, different responses and protection.
This is so gold because then if they're talking in the playground, then they're going to be giving each other very different advice and not understanding why the other person is not getting it.
Exactly. To get mad. You get angry when the person is not, like, it's like, I do it. Why can't you? And it's so interesting. I think we were having this conversation. You also, if you're somebody with you're not very aware of your archetype, let's say you have walls up already. You already are showing giving the energetic finger to the world, which when you're triggered, you're more likely when somebody is talking about boundaries to number 4, or was it number 3, that you're like, yes, I should be doing that. I need more boundaries in my life. Babe, you have the wall of China up. You don't need more boundaries. You are so disconnected from the world. You have the shield on. You don't need boundaries. But when that person hasn't been kind of like educated and they haven't self-reflected, that's what they would go to. Now, the person who's so hard on themselves, when they hear about that, you need to reflect more. When we're talking about somebody who's aggressive, who's just going and then blaming everyone else, that this is your fault, what they hear is that, yes, I need to be more accountable for 500 things that had nothing to do with me.
That's what they say.
So it's this is where in the coaching world, like when we're dealing with clients, it's so important to be like, no, 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 that's not where you're going here. If this is not your archetype, this is not what you need to do. It's the exact opposite that you're very uncomfortable thing with that you need to be doing. It's the exact opposite thing that you think you should be doing that you need to do.
That's why when Shazad will message me and and she's like, this is what I'm like, no, not that. I'd rather stab myself than do that. It's like, that's the thing you
That's a
need to
quote,
do,
by the
babe.
way. She actually said that to me once when I told her to do something. She's like, "I'd rather go stab myself." I'm like, "I know, but you can't." And then she did it anyways. She didn't stab herself. She listened to what I said.
I wanted to. There was so much resistance. Oh my gosh.
So
Oh,
the last one, number 8, that we're going to be talking about today is, do you tend to go into intellect a lot? Like something happens to you and you don't feel anything, you don't let yourself feel, but you're very much up in your head and you start to analyze everything and make sense of everything. And then you're really good at arguing and being a bit dominator in that. So kind of like up on your high horse. You're up on your high horse while every other peasant is down there, and you know everything. And you see this a lot in politics, by the way. Like whoever is very convicted in what they believe, they will bring 500 facts and articles and books, and they talk to you. You tend to use words that people are like, what does that even mean? Like you use really big words to intimidate the other person so they feel stupid and then they shut up. That is also an archetype that's very interesting, and it may be um something that you've experienced. It might not be in terms of like in schooling system, in politics and all of that. And that's how they win debates, by the way. Like that's a lot of the equality that, again, it's a good thing. But if you are doing it from a shadow side, then you're coming up as putting people down and making them feel stupid in order to feel superior and better about yourself.
they're already asking for the link, so I'm just gonna throw it in there and then Shazad will explain it to them later. This is
Absolutely.
the event that Shazad created for me and my family that is now open to everyone.
I think, hold on a second. I think the credit is like kind of copied. I don't know if the link is gonna, uh,
Oh,
so
oh my God. You know what? Let me just break that up. Sorry about that. It's
no
not gonna
problem.
work.
But
Before we
yes, there
move
is a
forward,
credit.
babe, why don't you, since we're already talking about it, why don't you tell them about the intensive and then we'll continue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sounds great. So remember, ladies, if you catch this within the 48 hours, you do get a credit that you could use, that Mina is putting in the chat, and it's also in the description. So this intensive, what we're going to be doing, the 3 days together. So it starts Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the first 2 days of it, we're going to go break down every single one of these archetypes that you are going to be learning. We're going to be talking about how you can recognize it within yourself, because you have a brilliant mind and it's easy to find finding where it is, but there's also a really intelligent system within you in your body that you can start to work with, that it actually you can recognize when these flavors are coming up for you. So by becoming more and more and more aware, we're going to be talking about what they are, where they came from, and also, we're going to be talking about, okay, if this is your archetype, what do you need? What is your trajectory of healing that you need in order to be able to overcome it, to be able to manage it, to be able to show up in life, knowing when that's coming up and how to diffuse it? Because, like I said, triggers are going to show up. It's that how long are you going to be in it? That's the problem. How much are you going to make decisions from that space? That's the problem. We're also going to say that what if other people in your life have that archetype? So what can you do if you are in that dynamic, that without going into coaching them, without going into teaching them about the tools, you if they're open to it, of course you can teach the tools, but what you can do to actually de-escalate a situation. If your partner, for example, is somebody that goes into this is the body language of somebody that is in that coming at you with the blame and the criticism. They have a very forward, pointing fingers, the energy that is coming at you that you could feel. So, what do you do in that sense? We're also going to talk about the gifts and shadows of each and how you can maximize the gifts. How can you actually use your archetype in order to live your life to the most beautiful way that it is, because there is so much gift in it. And how do you work with the shadows of it? You can see where you would go if you don't work with that, and also be working with the gifts of your, whether it's your partner or it's your parents and your kids. And I really, like Mina, you said that, I think I can't emphasize on the importance of this work for people who have kids, because of how much, especially the world is changing before our eyes, kind of like going back to the conversations with the social media and all of that. You have no idea like what your child is dealing with in terms of like social media and what they see, and being able to detect it if they have a trauma response and trigger response, because they're as amazing parents as you all are, you don't, you can't control everything. Your little kids, your children are going to go through their own evolution, and they are going to get their hearts broken, and they are going to go to through traumatic events, and you want to give them the best support that you possibly can. So the first 2 days, Friday and Saturday, we're going through the deep depth of these conversations. I'm also the archetypes. I'm also going to be giving you tools in order to work with them, somatic tools. And then on Sunday, we're going to have a coaching Q&A session. So whatever it is that you experience, whatever it is that you have a question, I'm not going to get off the call until every single one of your questions are answered, because I don't take this call, this work lightly. I know the importance of it. So you're going to have a lot of time with me on Sunday to talk about it. And because I have a nature that I really want to make sure that you feel really full after this, is that I'm either going to do a week or 2 weeks after that, another Q&A call, so that we can, it's not on the sales page, so you won't say it because I wasn't planning to do it, but it just felt right to my heart, that you can go live for those 2 weeks and see what happens, and then come back for more coaching and receive more support if you need to. So that's the way that I've constructed this. It's all online. Everything is going to be on Zoom. That we're going to be experiencing, like she said, Mina is going to be there as my beloved student. I want to make sure that you know she's there doing the work with you, as well as her beautiful family. So if there's any questions, Mina, if you have any questions that I might have not answered, or other people, I'd be happy to answer it.
I'm so excited about this. In the past, when I've done intensives like this, I've had students show up on Zoom saying, I booked a hotel so I could be really present. I'm ordering room service. This is going to be one of those things that I do. Like, if you can pull it off, if you can take some time off and go get yourself like a little, maybe create a retreat in your home or go get a hotel. This is life-changing work. I'm so passionate about this. I'm so interested in it as myself as a student, for myself, for my family, for my community. Like I want to be the best woman, the best mom, the best wife, the best friend, the best coach ever. Like that, I'm committed to that. And so I feel like this work is life-changing, guys. Like she's just giving you a little snippet of it. There's so much. Shazad, one thing you said to me that really, everything you say to me, I'm just like, oh my God, this is profound. And this thing really changed the way I'm showing up in my coaching and for my clients, because you said that we tend to attract the people that have a similar type as us, because that's those are the people that are like, are you in my head? Like people will
Yeah.
comment, do you have cameras inside my head? Like everything you say, you speak to my soul, because they're very similar to me. But then what happens is Shahrzad was saying that the people that actually need me the most aren't necessarily the people that are exactly similar to me. They're ones with opposite types. But if I see them as you're too emotional, go away. Like I would never say that to someone, but if my energy is saying that, that I can't handle your emotions, obviously the people that need my work the most are going to say, well, I really resonate with her and she has the power that I deeply need. But am I too emotional for her? Like, can she really even hold me? Can she see me? Is she even talking to me? And so they're not necessarily going to find value in my work, even though those are the exact people that desperately need my work. So that changed everything for me when you said that.
And thank you for sharing that, because that is so true. if you think about it, like we said, me and Mina have very different systems. And what she gives me with her archetype number two is that power that I need when I go into my deeply emotional state. So she right there is the exact coach that I need that is going to, but she has to meet me where I am, right? Like she can't be yelling at me when I'm already like in my state. And if she's triggered by me, then she can't help me. And vice versa, by the way. Like if I'm somebody that is has a very open heart, like I come off like majority of times, if I'm not looking out for it, I go into people pleasing. So if I work with a client that has this energy, like that everything is everyone's fault, she's obviously aware enough that that's a problem and she wants to work on it, but coaching containers, life, it will trigger her. And that would be her initial response to all of that. And I'd be like, I don't get that. Like, why are you like that? Why are you so angry all the time? Like, that's not what I want to work with. When that person is literally the person that needs my help to open her heart, to be helping her to actually to feel her emotions. Well, I mean, if I have the gift and I'm already working with a lot of people that are open-hearted, that's great. I love every single one of them. That's amazing. But what about the people who do need to open their hearts? Who are they going to go to work with? Obviously, like there are so many great coaches, but that's when we say that our opposite archetypes, when you're working with a coach, if they have the range to be able to go beyond their own archetypes, they're, it's not just the go-getters, but they are soft-hearted go-getters that with the just a little bit of reminder of who they are, not like you have to push them to be that person. They already know that they're that person, but they need to tune into that power. It will help them really greatly.
This is so gold. Let me see what they're
Yes.
saying. I'm so lucky to be a part of the Inner Dawn. Can't wait for the intensive. Yay!
I saw one question. Okay, question. But at what point would it be appropriate to use number four if you're being attacked, but if they are throwing shade at you? Oh my God, of course, you having leaving your room when that something like that happens and that you need to have boundaries. But a lot of times that's one of the tools that we're going to be speaking about, is that a person who is going through something like that, like if you're dealing with that person, you have to have that within you, that conviction, that not like like running away crying because that person is coming at you, but with your power, with that no, that's why the energetic, not necessarily the fu no, but the no has to be more and more nurtured in you. So you can actually go ahead and be able to say, to stand in your ground when someone like that is coming at you. And that's the other thing. So a lot of people, when they are in their triggered space, what they usually get away with is that when the person does the exact opposite. So that's what they actually, they're in their ego, in their trigger, that's what they think they want. But what that they actually need in that space is the exact opposite of it. So what you would do when you stand in your power, when you stand in your ground with you're not closing your heart, but you're not also mirroring that person back in the getting into now a fight with them, but having a boundary and saying that when you can speak to me in a respectful manner, you know where to find me, and I'm here for you. I know you're hurting right now that you're speaking to me like that. That person will be jolted because every time they have been thought that they are being angry, they're being an asshole, they're being so mean. That's what you're like, why are you so angry? That would be the initial response. But when you say, I know you're hurting, that's why you're speaking to me, that person all of a sudden feels seen. And when you see a person, that's when the armor comes down. So we're not making excuses for anyone's trigger response and trauma response, but you get to navigate it really powerfully and break their pattern. I hope that makes sense.
That was wonderful. People are asking for do you have names for these types, right, babe? Do you
Yeah,
want to give the names?
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's begin with number one. If you've forgotten, what we're going to be talking about, the person that is goes into the shield. She's kind of going out and doesn't want to face the stress, doesn't want to face the conflict. They kind of feel too much on the inside and they go into, I don't want to deal with anyone. So what I like this call this person is a frosty queen or a frosty shield. So she has this tendency of just being in her, gets cold and distant when that happens. So let me know if you kind of resonate with that. So when you're in your trigger, if you can imagine that a frosty shield is coming forward, that is you. Number two, I call the defiant. This is the one that wants to defy all the rules, all the authorities, everyone that criticizes her, because the only way that she could actually deal with all the criticism, mostly all her life, is to stop caring. That's what they have developed. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Ice Queen. Ice Queen. I have a death stare. So the first one is the Frosty Queen, then the second one is the Defiant. Then we have the one that I'm very familiar with is the Peacemaker. That's number three, the one that you prioritize everyone's needs, you are very agreeable, you want to not get into any conflict, not just with yourself. Like, have you ever had that? Like when other people are having an argument, it makes you uncomfortable and you want to like make it go away as much as you possibly can. Has nothing to do with you. They're over there. They're having an argument, but you're like, I'm so uncomfortable. I need to do something. Look over here. Like, let people, let's not argue. So you have that. So that's number three, the peacemaker, also known as the people pleaser. Then number four is when you react to criticism with anger and defensiveness. When you feel threatened, you attack and you blame. You get hostile. You go in this energy, you go the heat energy that is basically attacking people. And I call that an intimidating deflector. Goes into right into intimidation, trying to intimidate you out of the equation. So then you be quiet and they get to be right. The other one that has my name all over it is the deep feeler or the emotional storm. There is an emotional storm going on inside of you. It's like anger and upset and sadness and grief and guilt and there is just so much. For those of you who resonate, you know what I mean. It's a lot. It's a lot. So when that happens, you find yourself really overwhelmed. If there is criticism, if there is somebody that is you want to speak your truth, those of us that have a problem with that, like when we want to speak up and we start crying. I used to have that all the time, even with my husband. Whenever I wanted to, he's like, why are you crying? We're just having a normal conversation. It's like, you don't get it. Like I'm dying inside. And then I would feel bad because he would be so confused by it. He's like, what did I do? Like I didn't even say anything and I am in puddles. So it would be for someone, obviously, I mean, I can't criticize him because it's like, what the hell did I do wrong that she's having such a crazy reaction to something that was really nothing to him. And that God knows from where in my body that I felt that criticism that now in the past that had happened to me. And that's the other thing. You don't have to go and find this story, by the way. Like the work of the trauma informed, what I really appreciate about it, and I think Mina does as well, is that it's not about the story because your brain hasn't because when trauma happened to you it has to distort this, like it went offline anyways. You're not meant to remember it. That's your brain's defense mechanism. So whatever story that there is, that's why in this, not to shade on talk therapy, but in talk therapy, there's a lot of storytelling that is from a perception of what we think we remember, as opposed to working with the body that actually remembers the what happened inside of it. Because trauma is not what happened to you. Trauma is what happened inside of you when something happened to you.
Love that.
Something that's the difference, right? That's what I said. Mina and Shahrzad having the exact same experience with the teacher that was super critical. Same thing happened to them, but what happened inside of them was completely different. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I know we're not done with the thing, but I'm gonna just say something really important. I feel like I had to be the person to bring this forward with Shazad because women like me, high achieving, ambitious, driven, high performance people like us, we don't like the word trauma because we don't see ourselves as victims. So we're really turned off by the word trauma. So there is no way in hell that I would be going towards this type of work if, because I don't see myself as that unless something really big and traumatic happens, which about 6 years ago, I think 5, 6 years ago, something did happen in 2018 where I had to go into therapy and I had to work through a lot of the childhood sexual abuse and the rape and all of that stuff. But then, even then, my therapist even said that you're one of the most high achieving people that I've met with the trauma that you have. Like, it doesn't even make sense the how much you've achieved, but it's because I just held it in and kept going. But she said that the reason that you were able to do that is because you didn't see yourself as a victim. That's not your identity, which actually that helped me. It was really confirming and validation. But at the same time, it's like it gave me more like, oh, okay, good. Yeah, good. I don't need to. But this isn't about you seeing yourself as a victim or feeling like, oh, I don't really have any trauma. And I hope you don't. But there's little T's that happen in everyday life just because this is life where you and your loved ones may be holding things inside your body. You might not realize it might be the reason that you're holding on to the extra 20 pounds
Yeah.
or the reason that you make all these plans but can't take action. There's so many underlining things that if you understand this about yourself, it can help you so much and it can activate all the other inner work that you've already been doing. So this is enhance everything. I've been doing inner work and self-development stuff since I was 7, but it activated everything else on a whole different level when I started doing this level of work. So I did it about 6 years ago with my therapist, and then but therapy is a different flavor. So when I found, I learned that Shahrzad has the same tools, but from a coaching perspective, I was like, come to me, mama, like that. That's what I need because coaching is my jam. That's what I love. So even if you don't have trauma, I assure you that you have these trigger types and you need this information.
Thank you for sharing that, babe. That is so true. And I think that one thing that your therapist really commanded you, which is absolutely true, that you had a lot of trauma, and because of your archetype, the resilience that you have within you, you kept on functioning. And a lot of high achievers with a lot of success under their belt, they do have that same archetype. But here's the thing, as great as it is, I think it's an incredible attitude to have, is that, but if I didn't, and but you did a EMDR, but let's say someone didn't have that, hadn't processed it. Now they're carrying all of that stuff and then they go and build an empire, and there is this feeling of emptiness that they feel, because to the extent that you're willing to feel all of your emotions, you can negative emotions, that you're able to actually experience your emotions, the good emotions as well. The container doesn't go just this way, it goes both ways. We talk about the duality part of it, like the duality of life. If I often say this to my client, in order for you to really deeply love someone, what are you supposed to be willing to do? Is that you're supposed to be willing to get hurt, because that person could also hurt you, right? Like, if you can't love a person with all of your heart because you're afraid that they could hurt you, then you can't experience the joy of it without being willing to experience the pain of it. It goes this way. And so that's why a lot of successful women, and I know a lot of you are, they're high achieving women, that when you are going for it, if you haven't dealt with the harder stuff, because this is not fun when you go at it, but Mina can confirm this, that when you actually go there, the light under that tunnel is like nothing that you have ever seen before. That's the willingness. It's the monster that when you look it in the eyes, that goes away. But it's so there's so much resistance to look at it in the eyes. This is the part of the work that it's not glamorous, right? I'm not saying come make $1 million with this program. I'm not saying come here and then you will meet your husband in 2 days. But if I'm totally honest with you, without this, none of those stuff would matter. When without you having that fulfillment as an emotionally intelligent person with your peace and ease and having all of this stuff that you could be dealing with your families, with your business, with your clients, with your coworkers, whatever it is, then all the success in the world and all the things that are beautiful to have, that's why we see a lack of fulfillment in the world.
One more thing I want to add to that, Shazad, before we do the rest of the three, is that people who are high achievers, ambitious, same like me, have same type, don't see themselves as victims. What I've heard is that they're afraid to do this work. Like I had EDMR done, I had parts work done, like all the deep stuff. And then again with you, from a coaching perspective, it's like next level. Therapy was great, but like adding that stuff to their with coaching has been really amazing for me. They fear that if they lose their drive, ambition, because when they learn, oh, that's where it was coming from, they're thinking, oh, well, I'm not going to be ambitious anymore. I'm not going to be driven, but I've built this, entire empire. That's not true. So I talked about this in my work a lot that you can be ambitious and motivated because you think there's a lion chasing you because you're in fight or flight with your nervous system. Or you can be motivated and ambitious and all the things from you connected to your higher power from source. So you're still having who you are. It's just what's amplifying it? Is it fear and people pleasing and fight or flight and all of that stuff amplifying it? Or is it like, this is the desire of my heart? So you turn from need and addiction and I can't stop and I feel like numb to desire. I want to change the world. I want to create a legacy. I want to have generational wealth. So don't worry that you're not going to so all of a sudden be like, numb or my biggest fear was like, am I just going to sit and do nothing now? Like that's not me. But no, I'm still motivated. You guys see me. I'm still very driven. I'm still very high performance, all of those things. But it's coming not from fight or flight anymore. It's coming from source, from desire, from just what I want to do because it's fun, because it lights me up. So it's different.
I love that. So basically, you no longer need to create a business from a trauma response, but what you're doing is to actually doing it with not that, like I'm not talking about Mina here, but I'm talking about everyone that being high achieving can be very much a trauma response because what? Like your parents told you the way that you're lovable is if you just keep on achieving and achieving and achieving and achieving, and it's never enough, right? But that doesn't mean that you no longer need to achieve and you not to just go and be, sing kumbaya and do nothing with your life. Like that's the exact opposite. I mean, if that's your jam, like by all means, but I've never worked with a client that had a drive and had passion, and then they did this work and all of a sudden they wanted to do nothing. It was the exact opposite. The ones that didn't want to do anything when they did the work all of a sudden have all the energy in the world to go and go after dreams and their desires because they're no longer holding on to grief. They're no longer holding on to the fear of judgment and resentment and anger and all that stuff that plays such an important part of how we show up. We are energetic balls all the time in movement. We make decisions every single day. And if those emotions and feelings are unprocessed, can you just see how many times you will grab your phone when you're in this association, when you're in complete, and then unconsciously just scroll? Like this is just a tool that we've been given to disassociate, to drift away because it makes us numb. And so I really, really appreciate you saying that.
Deep stuff is so good. Okay, so we had five was the emotional storm. And
So
then
number 6, we are going to the ones that is so critical of herself. You diminish your self-worth. you are hard on yourself, you self-punish, you find it really difficult to receive any compliment, or you're accountable for everyone's bad behavior. Everyone that is doing something bad, it's your fault. And that is the archetype that I call the self-tormentor. You torment yourself with so much accountability, and you don't hold anyone else accountable for their behavior. And that is very, very hard in terms of how you experience it on the inside, and it kills your motivation. It makes you not start anything, whether it's dating, you don't start, if whether it is you need to be perfect in order to go to date, and you need to be perfect to start whatever passion project that you have. It's just you feel like you're never enough. So that one is unfortunately very common among women, that they are overly critical of themselves, and they think that they're holding themselves to a higher standards, but they're basically holding themselves to impossible standards.
That's a big difference right there.
Yes. So that was number 6, right?
Six.
So number 7 is the one that I kind of mentioned just before this. Is was the one that you disconnect from your surrounding. You pick up your phone 500 times, you daydream. Your favorite thing in the world is meditate. You
Mm.
love meditating. You love not being in, you don't really love body scan, but you love daydreaming and visualizing. And that can show up as something that people think that that's a great thing to do. It is a great thing to do, unless it's your escape. So if you are escaping from your reality because there's so many emotions, or you're a binge watcher that you don't stop watching because something is just, you need to numb yourself because you can't feel your emotions, they overwhelm you like nothing else, then that is you, which is what I call a drifter, an escape artist. You
I
just
love that escape artist. I've had clients that said, "Oh, I meditate 3 hours a day." Mina, I'm like, okay, we need to talk about that. You're
that's
not
so
a yogi.
exactly. Like, you if you want to be a yogi, that's fine, but are you escaping your life? That's important to remember. And then the very last one, the one that goes into analyzing situation, getting on your high horse and making other people feel stupid. You use all the arguments in the book to win the conversation. And that is the intellectual dominator. If that is your archetype, like Tony Robbins says, say I. Um, and that is the last one. My goodness. I knew that this conversation was going to be long, but there is so much more that I want to
There's
tell
so
you.
much more. I mean, that's why like I said, Shazad is my number one most spoken to person because there's so much there. It's just so good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's so it's like it fires me up, as you can see. Like as much as, in a lot of my coaching, I talk about love and relationships and all of that, but like this stuff fires me up because it makes things make sense in such a way that you feel hope, you feel like understood, you feel seen, you don't feel like there is something wrong with you, but because this is humanity, ladies. Like, this is everybody, that we have one or the other one. It's just a matter of learning to work with it and receive the gifts of it, as opposed to making it a tool to, like I said, if you weren't here at the beginning, I said, do not use this to harshly criticize and judge yourself or anything like that. But it is about self-awareness, and then your willingness to go into the next levels of working with it, working with your own stuff, being aware of your kids, your husband, your partner. This plays a huge role in dating. When I have high achieving women, when they come to me, um, and they're struggling with dating. Like, someone says, why would this woman who's beautiful, who is successful, who has everything together, like, she must be very intimidating to guys? And that's the narrative that we have with women, that they think that it's because of their success that they're not finding love. When really, I see a lot of them to either be really leaning with their achievements of how they have achieved, and they find that to be the reason that they need to find love and worth, where the disconnect starts to happen. And they do have the tendency, a lot of them, with the rebelliousness, that anytime a guy does one thing wrong, they're very quick to cut that person off, instead of looking at the humanness of every single person, that you're not going to find a perfect person. And I'm not saying to lower your standards, but relationships, any relationship requires forgiveness, requires more curiosity. When I bring that element to my clients, that be curious about someone, the way that they respond, and ask a question, you're not going to die. And obviously I say it differently, but when you don't understand something, a lot of us go right into assumptions, as opposed to having that curiosity of, I wonder why that person says that, and being able to speak up, as opposed to close off, go behind the frosty shield, go behind the energetic finger, and then cut people off. So it is very less to do with, I intimidate men, more than having that shield to put on.
I love that. One of the biggest things that I've learned with this work is that boundaries have doors. They're not like you said, the Great Wall of China. So it's not like cut everyone off and then you're just sitting in your safe little bubble by yourself. But it's like, okay, well, what does this person need and what do I need to open that door to our hearts and create that emotional safety? So
I
this was so generous, Shahrzad. I think we've been going for 2 hours. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so blessed that I get to pick this woman's brain and just have access to her all the time. I just feel so, so, so lucky. And I really truly believe, babe, that we're going to change the world with this work. And this is the stuff that was missing. It's deep. I think not everyone will be open to going that deep. It's very vulnerable. And let me tell you, as someone that's done this work, it is very vulnerable. You think you're big and strong until you're like doing this work and all the stuff that you've been putting aside just comes forth and then you're crying for no reason and all like so much comes up, but it's a game changer. So I know my community loves inner work. We're obsessed with personal development over here. We're ready to go deep. So I'm going to invite you to Shahrzad's course. I will be there as a student. I'm not teaching inside of it, just to make that clear. It is Shahrzad's baby. It's her course. I did request that she create this course, and so she created it for me and my family. And then we were like, let's just invite everyone because everyone needs it. So I'll throw it in again. And so, babe, with your credit, your generous credit that you're giving my community, they get 15% off. Is that correct?
That's right. They get 15% off, and I believe it's valid until Sunday night or Monday morning. So they can have the time to watch the replay if they haven't. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. Instagram is the best. Facebook is 99% of the times my team checks it. I mean, they can also answer your questions as well. Or I can put it there. You can email our support at questions@fullyadored.com if you have any questions around it. Did I get it right? Yes, I think so. So that way you can, if you have any questions around it, you can ask me. Like I said, it's going to be a 3-day intensive now with a bonus of second day of coaching. I will play that by the ear. I want to make it possible for you. So I will be probably polling you of like what would be a preferred time and date. So you get your, you get to practice your tools, you get to go experience life with what you learned and come back and ask your questions. Like again, like you said, Mina, there is resistance for this work. And if I have your permission, like this was something that you said to me, that it's the resistance of the trauma, name of it, all of it, it was there. But I believe that if you are on the path of healing and growth, and God loves you so much that if you're not gonna go there yourself, life will happen. And I'm not doing this to scare you. Please keep that in mind. But there is gonna be like, if you could live your life if you're not somebody, but if you're on this channel, you want to grow, right? Like if you're on this channel, you're not. I'm not the most entertaining person to listen to. So you would be gone by now. This is, but this is that if you're doing this work, it's because you want to grow. And I know that for a fact that Mina, like life brought her to a point that she made this decision. And it definitely was the case for me. If you watched my other live, I talked about the fact that for 10 months I was in a freeze response. I was on the couch, numbing away, drifting away. Um, and I think that when you're a coach and when you are doing this work, you got to go first. That's the name of the game. You go first and you go work with what you need to, and then you come and pass on the message. And hopefully the community be like, I want to learn this quicker. I don't want to have to go get a, have my moment of come to Jesus moment. I choose to do it for myself. So I believe that this work is going to be met with resistance because you're going to be looking at your monsters. But like I said before, you look at the monster and the monster disappears. That's the beauty of it, as opposed to it be chasing you throughout your life.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. I feel like this should be required, especially for parents, like for everyone, but especially for parents. Like it should be something that the hospital makes you do before you're going to deliver your baby or something, because it's so key to understanding yourself and your partner and your children. For you guys listening to this, the link to Shahrzad's intensive and the credit card that expires in 48 hours is in the description box. Shahrzad is mentioning her other video, which I will grab the link. So if you go to this YouTube stream, I've tagged her. So it says at the Masterpiece Woman. If you like love my work, you are going to be obsessed with Shahrzad's work. So go and follow her and at her on her YouTube channel. She has 2 Instagram accounts, correct? Babe, and can you tell us what the different flavors are where I go grab your other training?
For sure. So there one is Shahrzad Parandeh, which is my first and last name, and the other one is the Masterpiece Woman. And the Shahrzad Parandeh is my very first Instagram, which I speak a lot about relationships, dating, relationships, and all of that. And when I created the Masterpiece Woman, about less than 2 years ago, it was more about the whole flavor of having a full life. So it's not just a relationship, but talking a little bit of money and a little bit of relationship and a little bit of this kind of work, not a little bit, a lot. So both of them go hand in hand, but a lot of times I share on both because now I'm at the point that everything is interconnected. I can't speak about relationships without talking about this stuff, because if there's one thing that like makes or breaks our relationships is our triggers. It's our trauma. It's whether you're trauma bonding with someone, or whether you're so not understanding of each other's triggers that you always feel like you're alone in your relationship and he doesn't get you and you don't get him. So I can't talk about relationship without it. I can't talk about money without it. Because if you are making decisions from a trigger space with money, whether it is you're somebody that overspends, and that is your trigger response, that is very different than somebody that is in the complete scarcity of money. Like that's why the also when it comes to triggers, even with our advice with for people, is very different. Somebody that is really bad with their credit score and their credit, I don't want them to go make big leaps when they don't even have started the container of money management and learning how to do it, and vice versa. Somebody that is just strict to one thing and only, and there is no growth in learn expanding their capacity with other stuff, the spiritual stuff that they could learn. So in short, both accounts, like they kind of like now have merged into the same messaging. So you don't, you could follow me in both, one or the other, it doesn't matter, but I welcome you with open heart.
I love that. I love that you are, bringing this also to money conversations. I feel like, babe, that what you're doing is you're elevating the conversations about feminine, masculine energetics, and in a lot of areas with this trauma work, because I think the whole thing has taken on a little bit of a juvenile touch of like where we're just practicing these tools without adding substance to it and going deeper with what's really going on inside of you, what's going on inside of this person. And then sometimes when they don't work, then you're thinking, oh, maybe I'm doing it wrong, or, maybe you go into all self-blame, not realizing that this person in front of you may not be responding the way that you desire for them to respond because there is some kind of a trigger situation and you're not like, it's not customized to this person. So this is going to change everything. This is a very grown up conversation for people that want to go deeper with this work and not just sit on the shallow level of it.
I 100% agree. And if I'm completely vulnerable and honest, I started with the shallow stuff, within learning it and then with teaching it. But I'm the first one to admit it and say that I kept on growing. And I really hope that 5 years from now, what I'm saying is even more and more potent and elevated. That's what I would love for myself. And wherever you are in your journey, I love that for you. It's perfect that you have started, but in my world, I do want to encourage you that keep going deeper. There is so much depth, there is so much more than what we've learned about feminine and masculine energies and lack and scarcity and boundaries. It's not a one size fit all at all, especially in with all these different archetypes. That self-loather cuts men way too much slack in their dating, and then the one with the frosty shield gives no one a chance. So very different archetypes, very different things that they need to work through in order to have what they actually want.
This is so good. This is like really deep stuff. This is why just talking about the personal development community, personal development is and always will be for people that are on a lifelong journey. It's designed by and for people that are going to be doing this work until they're 99 and they take their last breath. It was never intended for people that are looking for a quick fix and like just an outcome. And so if you approach it that way, that like, okay, like I'm just gonna learn this thing real quick and then all this money will fall out of the sky and my man will show up tomorrow and I'll be in my dream house. Like it just doesn't work that way. So even very successful women like Shahrzad and I, like 7, 8 figure creators in beautiful marriages, living our dream lives, notice that we're showing up every single day and doing inner work. Like Shazad said, like there's days where it's like, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. We're like, okay, what are we doing together? And then at like 9, 10, we're like still working on stuff. I watched this. Did you watch this? I'm taking this course. I read this book. Do this. This is why I uncovered. Like, this is who we are. We're embodied in this every single day. And that's why our work keeps getting stronger and deeper. We become more embodied. There's self-mastery that's happening. You're gonna find us different every 6 months. Every year, you're gonna think we're in a completely different universe if you're following us because we are literally like we live, breathe, eat, sleep this work. We're obsessed with it. Those are the people that are gonna get the biggest rewards from it, where it's a lifestyle.
I was telling Mina just yesterday, like literally, I could like screen cap our conversation. I was like, why can't I be normal? Like, why can't I go for a walk without thinking about what else can I learn? Like, this is literally yesterday. And it's just like because this is who I am. And it's not about I'm broken that I need to be more. It honestly isn't. And I don't want you to take that. I'm saying that you need to always work on yourself every single day because there's something wrong with it. It really feels good. It just feels really amazing to constantly be in that curiosity because that's the childlike curiosity. What else? What else? Right? Instead of cutting off, this is as good as it's going to get. And being able to, I mean, and you, like we said, Mina and I, in terms of ways of triggers, we are very different. But when you have the same values, when you desire the same things in life, then you find yourself in the same path. And then this is what I want you to also walk away with is that then you also, when you are working on the healing, the friendships that you develop in that is not like nothing else because of your differences, because of there is this balance between the heart and the solar plexus chakra that they feed into each other. It keeps on flourishing and it keeps getting better. So don't run away from people that are different from you. I actually find that even clients, whatever, this is one thing that one of my previous coaches taught me and said to me, and I never forgot it, but I never got it until I did this work. She said that it is your most difficult clients that are going to be the best transformative windows for you as a coach and make you a better coach. And I didn't get it at the time. I'm like, what do you mean? Like the one that triggers me the most? Like, no, I didn't start a business to be triggered all the time, but I didn't get it until I got it. That would mean that I would go into the depth of understanding of other human beings, that I don't look at the world from my own narrow view, that this is the way that everyone should be, and this is the way how everyone should experience things. And then I really started to appreciate the differences, and it gave me a lot more depth. So I wanted to bring that forward as well.
That range. Oh my God, we crave that and need that so badly. I think did we touch on, babe, the conversation we were having? I can't remember if we were talking about this private. We talk so much privately, I can't remember. About the conversation we were having, that how the coaching industry, it's more a newer thing. So they're like, we're now kind of setting the structures. That was private, right?
That we actually talked about that. But one thing that I told you that it's a delicate conversation, but I think that it is good to bring it up, that I was telling Mina, was that in August of 2019, exactly 5 years before I had done any of this work, I remember, and forgive me if my voice shakes because that was a traumatic event for me, was that I had a miscarriage. And 15 minutes later after that, I had a coaching call, which I am not making this up. I'm not exaggerating. I mean that I was on the floor because I was in so much pain. And I remember I picked up a hair dryer in order to, because my entire womb was so contracted, to in order to warm it up so it would loosen up. And I got up, got off the floor, sat on my coach client, and I just pretended like nothing happened. Pretended like nothing happened. I went on and gave my best. My client had a great session, and I went on with my life. And within, I don't know if it was 3 months or 4 months, I put on 30 pounds. I didn't understand what was happening. And the amount of grief that I suppressed, the amount of, if you look it up, miscarriage happens at least between two, at least two people in every 10 women. And it's so normalized. And so in my brain, I'm like, this happens to everybody. It should be okay. So I didn't look at it for months. And with that, and also if you look it up, it's one of the most traumatic things that can happen to a woman, like a loss of a life within you. And that had me, this was the precursor of 2020 when I had the other traumatic thing that happened to me. So we don't know how much suppressing trauma, how much suppressing grief will physically affect us, mentally affect us. I was not myself. I pretended I was myself. I pretended everything was fine. I pretended that it's okay. It happens to everybody, and we okay. And it was early on, anyways. But this is something that is also, I want to start bringing it up into conversations because I don't think that it's talked about enough, the importance of it, the importance of the support that one needs when they go through something like that, as well as how, if someone in your life experiences that, to be careful with how you handle it, how you speak to that person. Because it is such a huge psychological, physical trauma that someone can go through, and if it's not handled right, then it's the seed that gets planted, and it just keeps on growing and growing, and a lot of things don't make sense, including putting on a lot of weight, not wanting to be social anymore, not wanting to do work anymore, not wanting to, you feel like you've lost your magic. So I wanted to vulnerably share that because I think that, again, we experience it, and if we have an audience, we have the responsibility to speak about harder stuff and help other people to navigate it differently, and understand that the importance of processing your emotions, the importance of of this beautiful body that you've been given. It remembers every single thing, including a loss in your body if you have been through it, and you deserve to be taken care of, seen, loved, and supported through it.
Thank you so much for sharing that, babe, with everyone. And this is such an important conversation because oftentimes we mean well. Like if someone comes to us and they share with us, oh, I've had a miscarriage, our natural response is to be like, oh, it was so early and don't worry about it. Because we want that person to feel good about themselves, not being able to meet them where they're actually at because we don't have the tools. Because I know I've done that. You know, I've had miscarriages in my own life, but I've also had friends, including you, that went through it. And the natural reaction is to just be like, oh, don't worry, like it's going to be fine. But that's not what the person needs to feel really seen and met where they're at. And that's why I think this is so important to teach people how to hold that space for people that we love and care about without diminishing their where they're at. You know, that conversation of it's going to be okay comes way later.
Yeah,
And where
exactly.
we lead with that.
Exactly. And that's what I want to say, that anyone who said it, you saying it, or it comes from a good place. Of course, it comes from a loving place. But and in our coaching containers, in all the other ones, like, when a client comes to me with their heart broken, like something happened, like they had their partner cheat on them, saying that, you know what, like screw him, like you don't need him anymore. Like that's not going, that's a great motivational speaker, but then with a broken heart, you are not actually meeting that person where they are. That's where you want to take him, that if a person did cheat on you, he was not worthy of your life or whatever hell was going on with him. But being able to see a person's trauma or the pain that where they've been at, and meeting them, and then helping them to get there. So we're not up here and then they're here. It's like, no, come join me. It's like, I cannot. Something must be really wrong with me that I can't. That's what I really want the you and I to change in this world for all of us, because we definitely have made these mistakes. I certainly have made mistakes in so many ways, and accountability is important and growth is important in this case.
Absolutely. One more thing was coming to me as you were saying this about, yes, I remember. Oh my God, this is so important to address. If Shahrzad and I can talk about this stuff all day long, so if this is too long, like it is what it is, because this is what we talk about all day long. So at this conversation came up at my Budapest intensive as well, Barkat in Budapest. And this is something I have had to also learn. And I don't know if Shahrzad, if you've dealt with this. Coaching is one of the only industries where people feel like that you have to be everyone to everyone, like everyone, you have to be everything to everyone. So the question that came up at Budapest, and I just sending love to my client that brought this up because this was gold, because everyone needs to talk about this, and I've dealt with this too, where you feel like that you have to provide all the tools and have all the things and be all the things to your coaching clients. And so I was giving her this example. I said, in no other profession, like think about dentistry. Like if I walked into my dentist office and I said, definitely clean my teeth, but also could you do my hair and perform heart surgery on me? And I have this thing in my brain. And can you like listen to me like a therapist would? He would think I'm out of my mind. But in coaching, a lot of times there it can feel like you have to do everything. So the advice that I was giving her, I said it's perfectly okay for you to bring on other people as support systems that can help you, or at the very least, tell your client that, you know what, this area is where, I'm not really qualified to deal with this, or I'm still learning about this, but I recommend you go do this. For example, my first therapist that I ever had, this was again in that same year that I had that trauma. She, after our fourth or fifth session, she said, you need EDMR. It's really going to help you. I can't do it. Go find a therapist. So in the coaching industry, a lot of times there's, especially because it is female led, and there's a lot of people are leading it with a lot of competition. They don't want to always show up and say, "Ooh, this is not my area of expertise yet," or ever. Maybe I don't want to work with this. However, my friend does this. Or I know someone that does this, or maybe, I recommend this. Now, I've gotten a lot of backlash for saying this, which is crazy to me because I would think that this would be a positive, that if I can be that, you know what, I think for this little area, I can help you in all these other areas, but babe, for this thing, this is what I recommend. You know, people are afraid to say this. I think, again, maybe their trigger type comes up, maybe unworthiness comes up, maybe, oh, if they go to another client then, or another coach, that means. So really, in bringing, my best friend, my own coach, my support system on here, really, I hope I'm making it okay for you guys to realize that we don't have to be everything to everyone, and that we all bring different unique skill sets. Even though if you look at the surface, Shahrzad and I do the same thing, right? We both do relationship coaching. We both do we have courses on money, like we have similar courses, but we bring such a unique perspective and different skill sets, even different trigger types. Like I'm the solar plexus, right? She's the heart. She'll crack your heart open. I'll motivate you and make you savage to go to the next level. So we have a lot of overlap and similarities, and we have our unique gifts, but there's no competition if you're trying to actually help your client. Because if I really mean well for you, if I want you to succeed, if I want you to thrive, I do not care whether you hire me or hire Shazad. I want you to be okay. I want you to find the help that you need. I want you to thrive. I want you to excel. I want you to ascend. I want you to have all of your desires. If that means that you need to, get some things from me, some things from Shazad, go find a therapist for something else. Like you need to have a dentist and a hairdresser, someone to do your nails. You need a lash girl. You need the person on your team that can tell you all the skincare stuff. Like we're women, like we should already understand this. So why in the coaching industry do we think that we have to do everything, or we're not enough, or recommending someone else it's going to take away from your business? No. What if you became the person that everyone knew that when I go to her, whether she can actually help me or not, she's going to help me find the people that can and the tools, even if they're not with her, because that person is really committed to your growth. They're really wanting you to excel, even if it's not with them.
I This is why I love you. This is why I am so in awe of you. And I'm gonna share something to bust anyone's like little thoughts that it would like, oh, Mina is doing this because affiliates do that. She's not even getting any affiliate from this. She's not making a single penny from promoting this, and it would have been fine if she did, by the way, because there is a lot of, she is giving me a huge platform that I'm honored on it to be here. But this wasn't about making money for her. This was about really seeing someone, and I'm honored to be that person that can bring something to a bigger picture and help other people. So this is something that what I meant by sisterhood. This is what I meant by no competition, because I do believe in Barket. I do believe that this is going to be tenfold, hundredfold coming back to her anyways, but that wasn't the motivation behind it. That wasn't the intention. This wasn't like, teach me all of this stuff. So no, I'm not going to integrate. Like, I'm just going to go. Like, it wasn't like that. She really open-heartedly has encouraged me because she's the power. And with a very generous heart, she's brought me onto this platform to have this time with you. And I love you to the end of the world, and I'm so grateful for you, because what you said is absolutely the truth. When we try to be everything to everyone, we are really coming from a place of either don't leave me, like if you go there you may forget about me, or from the person's like lack of self-worth, like I should be doing all of those things, when you, like you said, you are your gifts with when it comes to the motivations, when it comes to the power, is everyone like in my community knows that they are directed to me now when they need that oomph, when they need that savageness. So it really comes in hand to hand. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving us this opportunity to creating this intensive and having this really incredible conversation. I knew it was going to be amazing. I didn't know how amazing it was going to be.
So good. Thank you so much for being generous. And uh, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think everyone's loving this conversation. Kat said Mina's voice almost sound like she's ready to cry. Voice equals raw and authentic from the heart. Honestly, the sisterhood and friendship and support that I have from Shazad, it like I literally cry gratitude, tears of gratitude every day. I crave this my entire life. And there's something in me, I'm gonna cry. It tells me that I've craved this for many, many lives. This level of sisterhood and intimacy. And I've actually never in any other relationship had someone be able to hold this much space for like all of me. Like she sees all everything, all of the stuff, all the emotions, and then still be able to see me in power. This is a big problem actually for high achieving women, by the way, because a lot of times what happens with powerhouses like us is that when we go to like for example, let me give you an example. We're afraid to go to therapy because we don't want someone to be like, no, no. Like I would want to punch someone in the face if they did that to me. Like because I see myself as a very powerful woman, right? But then at the same time, if I go to someone and they're only meeting my power with power, then we're never unlocking our heart. We're never really going deep. So to have Shirzad hold me in my power, she sees me as the powerhouse and the high achieving woman that I am. And who like how I see myself, and yet be able to take me in those deep, dark places that I've hidden away since I was a little child from all the abuse and everything, and be able to so beautifully pull it out and then still, again, let me repeat, pull it all out, heal it, but then still hold me in that power. I've never seen anything like this. Like this is the most unusual and the biggest blessing of my life to have experienced this. And now I'm like, we have to bring this to the entire freaking world to be able to hold people in their highest power and yet take them to their deepest, darkest, hidden, most protected places and be able to bring that out. And I cannot believe I get to have her all to myself. Like 24/7 I have access to this woman. Like, can you believe the gift? Like, God must really love me to have given me a friendship like this. So that's why I'm bringing her here. She offered me, in all vulnerability, 50% um, affiliateship with this course. And if anyone would have taken that, there's nothing wrong with that. I want every woman to be able to make money and monetize her channel, her brand, her followers. All of that is okay. I'm not saying any of that is wrong. But the gift that I receive from this woman every single day, it would have honestly probably disbalanced that. I talk about in our culture, we have that aspect of shame that can come up, right? If the energy is disbalanced. So I was like, absolutely not. My only intention for this is that every single human being, first, I hope they get to see our friendship in progress and at least have hope if they don't have it in their life that they get to have it. And secondly, absolutely not, because this work is something so dear and near to my heart. Every woman needs to have it. And I know how much love and attention Shahrzad has put into this. This is all your baby. I'm so happy that thank you for existing. Thank you for being in my life. Like, I had given up on sisterhood on this level, and I had said, okay, we're just gonna get through life with just having shallow level relationships, and that's gonna be okay. Maybe, this level of friendship we're not evolved for, but you have proven it all wrong. And thank you so much for being in my life. I love you, I adore you, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
All the feelings that I'm feeling right inside of me. Like, I'm gonna be very tongue-tied, but it has been the honor and the pleasure of my life to be with you for all these years, but especially the last few months, because as much as I have given you in holding a space, you've given back to me in so many different ways. And that's what we also talked about yesterday, that it's a beautiful balance. I don't need to be broken for you to save me. And in order for me, and then I feel love for you and vice versa. It's that powerful women get to be vulnerable and not be pitied and not be looked down, not feel like there's something is wrong with them. It's just there's something happened, and then we can work through it and then come back to the fullness. But you you're just an angel, and you have been nothing but a sister to me, and I'm so glad that if there was any part of your life that sisterhood was damaged because of the sad experiences, now we're back to looking at it for what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be love. It's supposed to be support. It's supposed to be women that see each other in their power no matter what. And it's been the blessing that I can never thank you enough. So thank you, babe. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
This is what we do all day long, guys. This is our behind the scene all day long. This is me and Shazad. We talk about all of this crazy deep like stuff, and then we're like, I love you, I love you, I love you. Like, I wish everyone had this. Like, this is what the world needs. Like, this is the healing that the world is craving, especially when it comes to the sisterhood wound. There's so much trauma in female friendships, in female business relationships, in the online coaching space right now. Oh my God, everything that's happening. I hope that this gives people hope. I hope you already have this, but if not, I hope this gives you hope.
Hope
This is we did a lot of inner work to get here, and we continue to do so and hold each other in the highest standard and love and power and all the things. But it's possible. Oh my God, it's possible.
it is possible. I know we've been on for over 2 hours now.
Oh
Thank
my
you for
goodness.
staying with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating. And I cannot wait to welcome you. Oh, Livia is here. She is one of my dearest friends that I've told Mina about her as well. She is in Inner Dawn as well. So I would love to welcome you if this feels when you see this, you feel like, yeah, that is for me. This is what I want. This is what I need in my life. I can't wait to welcome you in and have the most freaking amazing weekend with you. I know that the work sounds heavy, but I do have a tendency, I've been told, that I make the hard stuff to land a little easier, to be more and more possible for you to meet it with not disempowerment, but with more belief that you're going to change everything. So I hope I get to see you there.
This was one of the things that Shazad and I were talking about, that this is really deep stuff and it can be heavy. So one of the things we were saying is that we have to make sure that it's taught in a light and fun way, even though it is very serious, heavy stuff. And I know that Shahrzad is the exact right person to do it, because her sweetness, her playfulness, her feminine energy is going to kind of soften those edges that can be heavy with this work. And I'm just so glad that this is work that was only used to be available in like really deep therapy, and not even every therapist knows how to even go there with you. Most are just doing talk therapy. So the fact that, you know, she's a coach and she has access to these tools, like, you will not be disappointed. I'm so excited. I've been counting down the days, and Armand's excited, Irfan's excited. We're so excited to be joining this. So I put the link in the chat. She's been generous in giving us a 15% off credit for the next 48 hours. All of that is in the description box. I'll pin it to the first comment for you guys. I know this is going to change your life. This is going to change your life. I'm so excited for the world to have access to these tools and this work. All right, babes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And we will let you guys go enjoy the rest of your weekend. Do not sleep on this. Take advantage of it as a mother, sister for yourself, as a friend, as a coach, if that's what you desire to do, or if you already are. We need this work. We need this so bad in our society. All right, babes. Bye, everyone.